This is the first lesson in our final topic, which is all about the growth of Arab nationalism. The focus is how did the First World War impact the Arabian Peninsula? And the first thing that I'd like to do is to have a think about what you know already about the First World War. It could be in any part, whether it's in Europe, whether it's in Africa, or even in the Middle East and the Arabian Peninsula. Put that into the first question as part of the Microsoft assignment. So the learning objective today is to examine the effects or the impact of fighting between the British, Arab and Ottoman armies during the First World War. Everyone should be able to describe the conditions that faced the soldiers fighting at this time. Most of you should be able to do that, but also describe and explain why there was an Arab revolt during the First World War. And some of you should be able to do all of that, but also suggest some reasons why the Arab people expected to gain their independence after the First World War. Keywords for today's lesson include Arab nationalism. This will be a keyword for every lesson for this topic. Arab nationalism means a desire to unite all Arab peoples into a single free state. We'll hear in a moment how the Arab people have been ruled for a long time, largely by the Ottoman Empire. And so now, after hundreds of years of rule, they hope that the First World War might actually bring their freedom. The war itself, we've mentioned before, but you can see a little bit of information there, 1914 to 1918, and we think it killed up to and over 15 million people, including at least 8 million that were fighting, but just as many who weren't fighting but were caught as innocent civilians. The Ottoman Empire is a Turkish Islamic empire which ruled most of the Middle East during the war, but had been there for hundreds of years before. We're going to see some military words today, including offensive, which is an attack by one army against the enemy during a battle. A battle is a key military contest during a war. So you can see the war took 4 years there, but it consisted of many different battles. And the war ends with an armistice. That's when one side says it's going to stop fighting. That obviously means that both sides will stop fighting, and you then get a peace treaty. I can't be with you for today's lesson if you're not logging in live because it's Ramadan. So here's the big idea, which I hope will help you understand what we're learning about. The First World War offered the potential to bring an end to hundreds of years of Ottoman rule in the Arabian Peninsula. Before the Ottoman Empire, Arabs had actually at one time been united by a large and successful Islamic empire. Think back to year 8 social studies in particular, because we have studied that before. So, would the Arabs be able to gain their freedom through the war? That is a big question we're going to come back to over the next few weeks. The British came to fight against the Ottomans during the war to help protect their empire, as well as trying to defeat an enemy. They were stronger than the Arab armies, but they found a war that was very different from the trenches of the Western Front in Europe. So quite simply, they would need to work with the Arabs if they were going to make the most of the Arab people's local knowledge, for example. Would the British and the Arabs work together? This was another key question that was asked and needed answering if they were going to be successful during the First World War. And if they could, the big question was, who would win the First World War in the Middle East? Will it be the British and the Arabs working together, or will it be the Ottoman Empire? So you can now get on with the Microsoft quiz. Choose the appropriate level for your ability, and then if you finish fast, there is an extension task as you can see, but for the moment, just focus on your core learning.